Receiving. Once you've got the goods or service, but you're not paying with CalCard or P-Card. This is a revised version of this video, so you may notice some changes if you're rewatching. If more changes occur, this video may be updated or removed. Note that if you're looking for this process when paying with CalCard or P-Card, you'll need the reconciliation video. If you've had a problem with your order where you didn't receive everything or items arrived broken, or you need to make a return, that will be covered in a different video. This video is for when, for example, you ordered 3 new chainsaws and you received 3 new chainsaws, and they work great, and they are the make and model you asked for, and everything is exactly right. If you compare the purchase order and the invoice, everything matches perfectly. This is the final step at the unit level in your purchasing process when you are not buying with CalCard, also called P-Card. You have made the purchase order, received approval, dispatched the purchase order, and received the goods or service. But the supplier has not yet been paid because you did not pay with CalCard. The State Controller's Office will send the supplier a check, also called a voucher, after you do this receiving process. This fiscal process is similar to what we've done in the past, where the vendor would provide goods or a service, and then the purchaser turned in the paperwork to Unit Finance, who checked it over and sent it off to Departmental Accounting in Sacramento. Then they checked it over too, and if it was okay, sent it to the State Controller's Office, who then mailed a check to the vendor. It's a similar process with fiscal. DAO will still review the purchase and send it on to SCO, who will send a check to the supplier. Using fiscal should decrease the amount of time it takes for the supplier to be paid, which should make the suppliers happier to do business with us. One major change is that now buyers will be receiving their own purchases, whereas before, buyers had to get someone else to sign off as a receiver. If you are the person listed on the purchase order as the buyer, whether or not you were the one who made the purchase order itself, you must log into fiscal and do this receiving process. It is possible for persons other than the buyer listed on the purchase order to do this process, and you can ask a coworker to do it for you if you're going to be out of the office or station, but CZU's unit level policy is for buyers to receive their own purchase orders whenever possible. Before you receive in fiscal, you must have received the goods or service and have an invoice from the supplier. You won't have a receipt because you have not paid the supplier. The dollar amounts and quantities on the invoice must match those on the purchase order. Write your purchase order ID on the invoice and scan it to PDF, and drop it in the same folder on your computer where you have PDFs of any other documents related to the purchase, and the PDF of the purchase order that either you made or the purchase order maker emailed to you after the dispatch process. You will also upload any supporting documents you have for the purchase, such as waivers, prior approvals, packing slips, etc. Our recent direction is that these supporting documents may be scanned as a single PDF. Your invoice and purchase order PDF must still be separate PDFs. Be certain that your purchase order ID number is on every page of every document you upload. Our purchase order IDs begin with 3540, followed by a dash, and then some zeros, and the number. You must put this whole number on your documents, ideally in the top right corner if space allows. If you're not sure what your purchase order ID is, you can find it on your purchase order PDF. Additionally, on your invoice, highlight the invoice number before you scan. This highlighted number will be important later. If your invoice does not have an invoice number, as in the case of some utilities, highlight the account number and write the month and year after it. If you have to, due to space constraints, put the month and year separately and highlight both the account number and the month and year as in the example below for PG&E. Now you're ready to receive your purchase. Log in to Fiscal. Navigate to Main Menu, E-Procurement, Buyer Center, Receipts, Add Update Receipts. You may want to save this page in your Fiscal favorites because you'll probably be using it frequently. On the Add a New Value tab, don't touch these fields. They should say 3540 Next, and the box should be checked. Just click Add. On this page, you will search for the purchase order in question. Enter the number here, which you can find on the PDF of the purchase order or where you wrote it down. Make sure this box is checked. It should be checked by default. And click Search. Fiscal will think for a moment, and then results will appear here at the bottom of this page. There are 3 lines here because my purchase order for propane had 3 line items. I am prepared to receive all 3 of these because I received all 3 of these from the vendor. If you have received everything you ordered, you can click this Select All link, or you can check the boxes individually. If you have received only a few of the items and you just want to go through the process to submit those so that the vendor gets paid, you can check only the boxes for items you have received. When you're ready, click OK. Here's the page where you will confirm that you received everything in good order. First, click on the Add Header Comments link. This pop-up looks very similar to the one used for adding attachments and comments to a purchase order, so it should look fairly familiar to you. You'll do the same thing you did there. At the minimum, you'll upload 2 documents: the purchase order PDF generated during the dispatch process, and your scanned invoice from the supplier, with the purchase order ID on it and the invoice number highlighted. Please type a brief comment with each attachment indicating what is attached. And then click on the Attach button. Click Choose File, and a window will open where you can search for the purchase order PDF that you're prepared to attach. I have it here. Click Open, and then click Upload. Fiscal will think for a moment while it uploads, and then it will appear here as the attachment. You'll need additional pages, so click the plus button to get a second one. Now I'll upload my invoice. I enter my brief comment about what's attached. Again, click Attach, choose File, locate your invoice, click Open, and Upload. If you have more documents to upload, you'll click the plus button again, put in another little comment about what it is, click the Attach, and attach the next document until you've uploaded them all. Remember that your supporting documents, such as waivers, approvals, packing slips, you can scan as one PDF and upload as a single attachment. You may be wondering, why do I have to upload these again? I attached them to the purchase order in the first place. Yes, you did, but DAO won't see that original purchase order. That purchase order is internal to the unit. What they will see is the result of this receiving process. So you have to upload all of the documents that you put on your purchase order again. Additionally, if this is a service you're receiving and you've made your CAL FIRE 93 and on your purchase order you uploaded it but maybe it was missing some signatures, here in this process you will now upload the complete CAL FIRE 93 with all the signatures completely filled out. here to this process. Don't forget to put your purchase order ID at the top of the CAL FIRE 93. Additionally, because DAO cannot see your purchase order, you must add another comment and put your justification from your purchase order here in the comment box. Unfortunately, your justification is not printed on your purchase order, so you might not have it handy, especially if it was a long justification explaining all the different cell phones you ordered, etc. So you may need to visit your purchase order in Fiscal before you begin this process, and maybe copy and paste that justification into a Word document, write it down, have it handy so that you can enter it here. So here I have entered my justification for this purchase, which was propane for a fire station. I have also received direction to add another comment. Click the plus button again. On your new comment page, list the items you bought as they appear on your purchase order. Unfortunately, Fiscal locks the purchase order PDFs it produces, so you cannot cut and paste the text from your purchase order PDF into your document. If you try to open your purchase order in Fiscal while also in the receiving screen to see your items and cut and paste them, Fiscal might kick you out of one or the other of the screens. This makes adding your list of items difficult, especially if you have many of them. But at the time of this video, this is the direction I have received, and it is possible your receipt will be denied by DAO or SCO if your items are not listed. I can, however, here to the left of this window, see my list of items, which was automatically brought in by the receiving process directly from my purchase order, so I can look at them and type them here into this box. When you're done with all of that, click OK. And your header comments section is done. Now you will move down to your lines of items. For each one, enter the quantity you received in this column called receipt quantity. In my case, I will look at my purchase order and enter exactly what I've received from the vendor. My purchase order was for 600 gallons of propane, and that's what the invoice says also, which is important. And then there was one transportation fee and one safety PT fee. So I enter 1 for each of those and 600 for my 600 gallons of propane received. If you ordered 5 new hose nozzles, you should have received 5 new hose nozzles. The dollar amounts should add up as well, although it won't show me the extension of what 600 gallons is. I have also received word that your sales taxes may be up to $1 off due to rounding errors, and State Controller's Office will pay what is on the invoice. But otherwise, your dollar amounts between your purchase order and your invoice must match. If you have a problem with your order where you didn't get what you ordered, or the dollar amounts are wrong, or there's something broken, or you're going to need to return something, that will be covered in a different video. Now, click the Optional Input tab. The name of this tab is misleading. It is not optional. You must fill out this tab. For each line item, you will enter your invoice number, the number that you highlighted on your invoice. Here's my example. My invoice number, 1601-010483. You must enter your highlighted invoice number exactly as it appears on your invoice. If there are dashes or spaces or slashes, whatever, enter them exactly as they are on the invoice. It must match. So for my example, my invoice number has a dash in the middle. I don't leave that out. I have to include that dash, and I'll use the same number for all 3 of my line items. However, although these this invoice number is the same for all three of my line items for this purchase order, don't use the same invoice number for more than one purchase order. Fiscal will check for duplicate invoice numbers and reject them. Also recall that whatever you enter here, it must be highlighted on your invoice so DAO and SCO can match it up. If you have a packing slip number, you can enter that too, but that field is optional. So enter your number for all your lines. Don't touch anything else. When you're done, you've entered your receipt quantity, everything that goes into your header comments, and you filled out the optional input tab. You're done. You can click Save. You will see the receipt ID changes from next to a number. You may wish to record this Fiscal-generated receipt ID along with the purchase order number of this purchase that you just received. After that save icon spins in the top right corner, you'll see the receipt status change to fully received, and you're done. By doing this receiving process, you have now triggered the process up in DAO that will eventually get the check to the supplier. And you can consider your role in this purchase complete, unless you hear back from DAO that changes are needed. Unit Finance will not be checking your work in this receiving process, nor will anyone be acting as an approver for this receiving process. So it is very important that you perform it with as much accuracy as possible.